So how's everything going? I'm happy that you finally made it in.
Oh, this week's been a little tough one, but I'm okay.
That's good. I'm happy that you're able to set aside some time so we can chat. Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
So
cool.
I was just stalking your Instagram page there, and I saw that you are now a Reiki teacher. So I want you to go into that at some point, but first, I'm sorry, not Reiki teacher, but that you have the ability to, practice Reiki healing.
Yes.
I want to go a little bit into that, but I want you to start by introducing yourself and a little bit about your business for the people that don't know.
Okay. My name is Tamza Morris. My business name is Goddess Glo 1111 LLC. I specialize in herbal infused skincare products from body oils, bath soaps, body butters, as well as I do have spiritual care items, which can consist of little spell jars or spell kits. Also, I do oracle readings. I am a Reiki practitioner, as well as I'm starting to dive into holistic and spiritual coaching, help people heal. Let's get elevated.
I like that. I could totally see you as a spiritual coach just after the few conversations that we've had.
Yeah.
So what is new to me though is your offer to do spiritual readings. I think it was called something specific. Can you tell me one more time what that was? Just readings?
Oh, oracle readings.
Oracle readings. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, right. I use oracle decks. I really don't like tarot cards. That's just my personal preference.
Mhm.
So I do readings with different oracle decks.
Okay, awesome. I had no idea else what I got a reading from you a long time ago. I love doing it. I have my own connections personally. Like I do my own readings, but I love hearing what other people have to say, especially if I know that their energy is positive and they have good intentions. So that's my thing.
Right. Yes.
All right. So tell me
Yes.
more. Go ahead.
I was gonna say outside of personal readings, from time to time on Thursdays, I do on Instagram like one card pulls. So that's always within my Instagram stories on Thursdays.
Oh, okay. That's good to know for sure. All right. So, there is one of the things that you mentioned, your products. I know personally, having used your bath soaks, I love your candles. They smell amazing. But tell me a little bit about the journey to creating those products. What was the thing that was a turning point in your life that made you want to create organic products like that?
Initially it starts with my daughter having eczema, my mom having psoriasis. So in the beginning of the pandemic, it was more so I guess at the time, just trying to find that side hustle with what was going on, everything was shutting down. But noticing that my daughter had eczema real bad, and it just seemed like no matter what over the counter lotions or creams, she was still like breaking out. So it started with searching like herbal infusions, different oils and butters and stuff like that. And initially, that's where it came from with just trying different herbal infusions, being a guinea pig, me, her, and my mom in regards to that. So that's where the skincare aspect started from was more so, okay, let's get some natural stuff out there, stuff that's not loaded down with all these chemicals, all these preservatives that's going into the skin, your
Mhm.
bloodstream, and things like that. So over time, though, within these past 2 to 3 years, it started growing more on a spiritual aspect when I started growing spiritually within myself. So it was like, yeah, I can do the skincare aspect, but then there's also that need for the inside because as we
Mhm.
know, what happens on the inside, it comes on the outside.
Mhm.
So it was more so, okay, a lot of people were coming across feeling like they were taken advantage of by different, spiritual counselors, or they just didn't know where to start their journey. And then with me, I was on my own healing journey too. So with growing with that, that's where now the spiritual care products came into play, becoming a Reiki practitioner, diving into different, learning about chakras and stuff. So that's initially where Goddess Glo, and it's still growing
Oh
that
yeah.
direction.
Yeah, every time I run into your booth at an event, a local event, I notice that you have something new, and I think that's awesome. Yeah, it keeps
Thank you.
everything.
I think the one thing, especially as a small business owner, you have your people that has been there from day one, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have people that's new. The one thing that you don't want to do is just keep having the same stuff over and over again, because those that have been there from day one, yeah, they're like, okay, I know how that worked, this work, I've tried that. But then sometimes it's always, well, what do you have new? So I always try and make sure like to keep my regular items, but then always try and incorporate something new down the road that would be like, hey, this is something different. I haven't tried this before.
Absolutely. And speaking of family, one of the things that I noticed that you always have your family with you. And I think having that support system is amazing. But but going back to the fact that now your daughter has products that she can successfully use on her skin, how has your spiritual journey affected her and actually your whole family?
I'm on this one by myself.
Oh yeah. Sometimes
No,
that's
cause
how it
like,
is.
cause like, um, my daughter, I never pinpointed or made her feel that she had to choose a religion. When I grew up, yes, I grew up in church. I was baptized, grew up in a Baptist church. So when she was born, it was that thing of, oh my God, you didn't baptize her, you didn't do this and stuff like that. I wanted her to have the ability to choose for herself.
Mm-hmm.
So when she became old enough, I want to say she was about 8 or 9, she chose to want to go to church and be baptized. So I allowed her to do that. But with her watching me grow on my journey, she has like some questions, like she don't mind going to the, botanical store and stuff like that with me. She believes in God, but I think for her it's more so she just hasn't figured out her journey. And then with my boyfriend, um, in the beginning of my journey, he just thought I was going down a rabbit hole of evil because he didn't know like which direction I was going. He understood that I was, trying to heal myself, that I was growing spiritually. I, in my mind, I was trying to get away from the religion base of church,
Right, right.
the politics and things like that. My thing is that I've always been a firm believer, to each his own in his religion if it's bringing positivity. So who am I to judge if you're Buddhist, Islam, Muslim? That's not for me. But if you're doing what makes you better as a person and is getting you connected closer spiritually, I want to learn about those things too. Even if I'm not converting, I still want to
Mm-hmm.
learn, just to be able to say, hey, I've learned this or that, or maybe you can teach me something that'll help brighten my horizons. So that's where my journey is, with the fact of being open to those in all walks of life, no matter what religion you practice, things like that. If it's for the greater good, I'm with you. If you're on the other end of a rabbit hole, I can't go down that one with you.
I bet you guys have some interesting conversations, kind of going back and forth about different ideals and things like that when it comes to religion.
He's actually started opening up a little more because he sees the changes that's happened within me.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, he's like, because he does see the better aspect, I'm not as angry or real quick to like bite,
Mm-hmm.
then he's like, you're a little calmer now. And he's like, I understand the process. So for him, I had to break it down in terms, what a lot of people don't like to get into is, everything is about wording. When you go to church, they say pray, but Buddhism or other religion is meditation. It's still the same process. You're still talking to God or a higher power. It's just worded differently. So I think that's where the politics come into play, where people start saying, oh no, it's not meditation, that's evil, you're supposed to pray. It's the same
It's
basis.
the same thing. Yeah, that's the truth. Yep. And it's funny because most recently I'll catch myself scrolling through TikTok and I'll see these videos where they're talking about one thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm right. I'm completely agreeing with it. And I'm like, that's
Yeah,
awesome. Source energy, we're going to a new earth and we're leaving the old earth and things like that. And then I'm like, wait a second, that sounds like Revelations, like, so, and that's okay. It's just, there's a very like, it's parallel to each other, there's no difference. It's not opposite. It's just
no,
different words that are being used, just like you said. So,
exactly. It's different. It's different words. Each religion has this particular practice and things like that. So I think that when it comes to spirituality, it's all about what you take in. and what you receive. You know, you can learn from any religion. You can, as my boyfriend would say, you can spit out the bones and swallow the meat. So you could take what you want out of it that's going to help you out. Because where, okay, in Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
you can take the book of Psalms. The Psalms can be used as prayers. The Psalms can be used as spells. Psalms can
Mm-hmm.
be used in many different ways. It just depends on the person and what their religious practice is. Just like with, you know, Buddhism, with the meditation, it all depends on how far you want to take that meditation. Do you want to do the sound bowls, or do you want to be in silence? But at the end of the day, that's just like falling to your knees and praying.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that connection, that source. So it's all about just being open. Don't just be closed-minded on just, oh, this is the right way and that's the wrong way. At the end of the day, we all have to leave this earth. We all, our spirit goes within the realms. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's about being a good person here on earth
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, and allowing that to flow over into, if you believe in heaven, hell, if you believe in other lives, it's all about the journey of growing.
Absolutely. I love the example that I've heard recently about we're just playing a video game. You know, basically, we're born, we load in, and we just kind of have to go through these obstacles and challenges until we get to the end. And then the end is
Yeah.
never, yeah, the end is never really the end, but it's just a video game. And I love that.
No, never really the end. But if you also think about a video game too,
Mm-hmm.
you're coasting through the video game, everything is going easy until you're supposed to level up. And when you
Yep.
level up, you're supposed to go through that hardness of, oh my gosh, I
Mm-hmm.
gotta fight this big monster or whatever video game. Like,
The boss,
you
the
end
final
up,
boss.
right, the final boss. And it's almost like
Yeah.
spiritually, that's what ends up happening when everything seems to be going good. Then all of a sudden, hold on, wait a minute, it's a culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
What happened here? How did we get here? Now I got to pay for this car, I got to pay for this bill. Then you're like starting to get anxiety and things like that, because the first mechanism as a human is, I've worked so hard for all this, I'm finna lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the same token, not looking at the spiritual aspect, it's a level up. In order for you to level up, you're going to have to go through these challenges. Otherwise, what lessons are you learning behind these?
Absolutely. Looking at
And what can
challenges as
you take
opportunities.
forward?
Yeah. I say that all the time, looking at a challenge as an opportunity.
Yes.
I want to use an example really quick. So I applied to a job at one point in my life, and this particular job had someone working there that I really did not like. And of course, I was thinking to myself when I applied, I was like, I better not work with her, with this particular person. And of course, I get the job. And of course, guess who's sitting right behind me?
That person.
Person that I had decided that I did not like. And I remember
Okay.
sitting there and I'm like, I'm stewing a little bit, right? I'm like, her energy and all this other stuff. And then I'm thinking to myself, I remember my higher self started saying, this is an opportunity. Think about why you dislike this person. What's going through your mind? What are the emotions that you're having? And then this is all part of shadow work and healing childhood wounds. But I started going through the list of things and different reasons why I think I dislike this person. And none of the reasons were valid. It never is. Resentment has, there's never an actual reason to have resentment for someone. It's just your problem ultimately, right? So I'm working on it, I'm like, okay, this is an opportunity. And now I've gotten to the point where, or we've gotten to the point where I can, whenever I feel that emotion, I don't shove it down per se. I just think about it. Why do I feel this way? And it's always
Mm-hmm.
something to do with me. Never her, never another person. So,
No, I also think sometimes too that other people display a characteristics that we see within ourselves
mhm.
and not realize, hold on, I didn't know that that was on the surface of stuff I need to work on, to heal on. That's one aspect. Another aspect too is, you probably may have had a bad interaction with this person in the past, and that interaction in itself will leave such a distinct taste in your mouth. You're like, I don't want to deal with it, I don't want to work through it. But as spirit always is funny, like you said, you have to go through those things in order to
Mm-hmm.
level up.
Yep.
So you can't always avoid those situations. That's just like when people, like if you've ever noticed people that always move,
Mm-hmm.
they feel like, okay, well, if I move to this state or move to this location, my life is going to be better. You can't run away from the problems, because the same way that you care didn't resolve that problem here, when you go to the next location, it may not be the same person, but it's the same problem.
It
So you're going to
spreads.
have to end up
Yeah.
facing it.
Yeah. 100%. No, I completely agree with that, because that's exactly what started happening, which is why I started having to do that internal work. And I love when you said that a lot of the things we find irritating in other people, or that bother us in other people, are things that bother us within ourselves. And when you tell that to some people, they're just like, they think very literal about it. It's like, well, no, I don't do X, Y, and Z like this person. It's like, no, but you were feeling the same emotion that
Yeah,
person felt when they decided to make those choices that you
yeah,
are judging right now, you know? So it's just, it's a constant mirror. That's what the world is. It's just a big mirror. So um
it is.
I love that. No, and there was something else that you mentioned. Let's see. It'll come back to me later. But I want to ask you, how can you give me an example of how you dealt with something very similar? What's a challenge that you faced recently that kind of given you a new perspective of your spirituality?
Anytime somebody made me mad, got under my skin, irritated me, it was me being a Libra sun sign. You were getting either one end of the scale. You was
Mm.
either getting the violent, my mouth is rah 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 side, or I'm just cutting you off. And as my family say, my cutoff game is real strong, because it's like, okay, at this point, I don't even want to talk to you. I don't want to deal with it. I don't even want to be bothered with it. Discuss what do we need to overcome, because I'm gonna still move this way while you move that way.
Right.
Now, more so, where my first instinct is, okay, I just want to cut you off. I have to learn, okay, before I do decide to cut you off, if that's ultimately the goal that's going to happen, let me explain to you what happened, how you triggered me, how I got upset or sad or whatever the case may be. And okay, let's try and work through it. Now, after I've expressed to you how you've triggered me or treated me, the way you respond from there is where is a cutoff game, or we can work through it. If you hold yourself accountable and like, yes, I did do that, I apologize, things like that, then it's like the next conversation is, okay, well, what are we going to do to move forward? Are we going to try and mend this, friendship, relationship, or whatever situationship, or are we just going to cut ties from here? Now, if it's the other way around, to where you start playing victim, I ain't do this, you're seeing this wrong, or it's always something, at that point, I have nothing else to say. So I have to cut you off, for the simple fact that people stop holding themselves accountable for how they treat other people. Yes, ultimately, it's on us to determine how we may receive the information and how to handle the information. But if you start seeing a pattern of people are starting to treat you the same way or talk to you the same way, it's because you're not dealing with it. So some things, yeah, you just have to tackle and be like, look, let's talk this out. If they're receptive, good. If they're not, you have to keep going and do what's best for you and overcome that forgiveness within yourself and move forward.
Absolutely. So let's dig a little bit deeper into that, because I feel like right now what's popular on social media is talking about ghosting people and basically being a spiritual snob in a way. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, there's also some truth in what's been, going around. So more specifically, let's say you have a person who has had a relationship with someone for a long period of time. This person is now on their spiritual journey. They've gone through an awakening, they're changing, but the other person is still, doing the same things over and over again. So I personally like to believe that you can maintain relationships with people and focus on yourself, and in turn they will start seeing a change in you. And the positive thing that would happen is they would also change themselves. Not that that's the goal, it just happens sometimes, But
Right.
unfortunately, sometimes what'll happen is there's judgment. There is the opposite of, that particular person actually, becoming a better person or growing in general. So at some point, the spiritual person that's gone through an awakening feels like they need to cut someone off, right? At what point do you think it becomes a judgmental aspect? Do you know what I mean? Like it's a little hard for me to explain, but at what point does the spiritual person who's gone through an awakening um begins to start looking at everyone in their life as someone who needs to change? At what point is that wrong? Do you know what I'm asking?
Um, when you're going through your spiritual awakening and journey, the wrong aspect is thinking that those people in your life are supposed to go through it with you.
Right. Right.
This is your journey. This is something that you're supposed to go through. So ultimately, the goal, especially if you're in a relationship, you would want your significant other to be on the same path with you. Unfortunately, that just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where communication comes into play real big. Like there has to be that understanding of I'm elevating and moving this way. I'm not asking you to move this way, but just understand and be mindful of where I'm going. Because that was in my relationship a key factor too, is I know he's hard down in the church. I'm not trying to make you convert away from your beliefs, what you feel, because this is what I'm going through. I just need you to understand that this is how I am, and I'm gonna respect how you are. I think the thing that becomes judgy is when people feel like, which is that mirror reflection of the ego. Oh, they think they better than me because they're reaching this place, that place, or whatever. Maybe it's something within that they need to heal and they just didn't know where to start. But their first mindset is judging what the other person is going through.
Mm.
In life, unfortunately, we're all human. There's not one person on this earth that can say they ain't never judged anybody because they lying.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing is that you just have to understand on your spiritual growth, that's your growth. Your level is here. Somebody could be higher than you, somebody could be lower than you. It's just as long as you communicate. Now, if you're in a situation where you feel that the person, not necessarily not elevating, but are just doing things that it's just not, you just don't feel here anymore. If after the communication, there hasn't been that understanding that ultimately you would have, you deal with people as they are. You
Mm-hmm.
don't even have to cut them off.
Mm-hmm.
So if I know as a person, let's say for instance, because I tell my daughter this about her friends, if you know that a person tells white lies, or if you know that a person comes up with 50 million excuses, 50 million stories, just let that person be. You can still communicate, have a conversation. Hey, did you watch this or try this food or whatever? But those deep down conversations, or to try and get them to open their minds into maybe where they're going wrong, you just don't deal with. So that's another aspect for me with my relationships with people is if I know I can't deal with you on a particular level about something, then that is in the box. I ain't even gonna touch you no more. But we can have a conversation about anything else you want to talk about, sports, whatever, fine. But when it's that some people just can't deal with the hard down realness truth of life or spirituality or maybe what they need. And sometimes they don't know what they need because they're just so used to going down the rabbit hole of, for instance, let's say not necessarily an alcoholic, but someone that just drinks. Oh, I drink. I come home, I drink, and I forget. But guess what? After that alcohol's gone out your system, you remember, then you're trying to drink all over again to forget. So you're just used to that pattern of let me just drink, let me forget, as opposed to what do I need to do to overcome it? Now, if you still want to drink, that's fine, but you haven't overcome that healing aspect of as to why you're constantly drinking.
Absolutely. And first of all, I love everything that you just said. I think it completely broke down my strange question perfectly. But the reason why I asked is because it's such a valid question. I think a lot of people wonder whenever they're on their, spiritual journey. And I think it always comes down to just love and feeling that emotion for everything and everyone. And it's just it's tough sometimes, because sometimes we just like we don't like the versions of ourselves. You hear people say, "Oh, back when I was 19, I was stupid. I was an idiot." It's like you were 19.
Yeah,
You were a child still. You hadn't gone through maybe as many experiences as other people, or maybe you did. I don't know. But ultimately,
right,
if you can just not judge that version of yourself, then you can't judge the versions of other people as well, So,
right.
yeah.
And another thing too, never expect your journey to be what somebody else's journey has been. Because sometimes that's another thing with social media. You look at other people that are, have, they're here.
Mm-hmm.
They're right now, everything is beautiful, love and light is great. So when you're looking, you're like, dang, why is it my journey looking like that? Why do I still feel like I'm going through the mud? You don't know how many times that person went through the mud
Yep.
before they reach that point of actually feeling their joy, their happiness, their spirituality. And even still, when you're here, spiritual growth is a roller coaster ride. You're never going to stay here. You're going to end up coming back down because there's lessons. You have to continue going up and
Mm-hmm.
down this roller coaster ride. It's the thing of learning the tools that when you're down, to go back and reflect, like, hold on, before I start panicking, having this anxiety attack, let me look at the positive of what's going on instead of focusing on the negative. When you turn around and try and put that into that positive spin, no, it's still not easy. It's not an easy pill to swallow, but it makes it easier as opposed to, for instance, a person that's always struggling with bills. Dang, I'm always, paycheck to paycheck, paycheck to paycheck. If you keep thinking, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, paycheck to paycheck, yep, that's exactly what's going to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Or when you reach that point to, now you're not looking at it as paycheck to paycheck, but the spin is, my bills are paid, I got food in the fridge, we're okay. When you spin it and look at it like that, you're like, hold on, I really did accomplish some things. So then now your spiritual journey is starting to go, okay, we're going a little bit further because now you changed that mindset. But then something happens and boom, you're right back down there. What you do, you go back to that old mechanism of stressing before, like, hold on, let me just sit back and evaluate this.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And I love that you brought up gratitude because that was actually part of one of my next questions. Personally, I believe that true gratitude is being able to wake up and be grateful for the things that we've always had. Not, the arms, our legs, the sky, the planet, whatever it is, but
Right.
specifically the things that we've always had. So, what do you think gratitude is in your opinion?
Gratitude, yes. Waking up another day on this earth, gratitude is just being in love with yourself. It's not even about being in love with anybody else, the materialistic things or whatever. Just being able to wake up and be like, you know what? I'm here to live another day. I can do this, accomplish this. Or if you feel like today is a lazy day, lay down, rest, because you still need to rest no matter what journey, if it's spiritual, workaholic, whatever, you still have to have that time to rest. So gratitude is just being happy with what you currently have.
Mm-hmm.
In this life, yes, everybody can have more. We wish we were billionaires or we had this or that. Unfortunately, that's just not in the cards for some of us. So just be happy in the fact that you're in a better place than other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because where in your mind, dang, I only have $5 up after I pay bills. There's people that can't even pay their bills or feed their kids, but you can still do that. So you have to live in that gratitude of being grateful for, I'm in this place when I could be worse.
Mhm. I love that. That's perfect. Well said.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It takes a lot to get there, because like you said, where that 19-year-old is like, oh my gosh, I'm 19, I was young and dumb. We were all young and dumb. We all went through some stuff, some experiences worse than others.
Mhm.
Some people were able to heal from that and be survivors, some were not. So you have to look at that. And then also too, at the end of the day, we're all going into a spiritual place.
Mhm.
No one on this God green earth is going to live forever. So you have to make the most of the time that you have here on this earth. Yeah, we could sit around and be grumpy and complain and things like that, but when you sit back and you want people to look at you and your life, do you want the memory that is left within them to be like, well, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, all they did was complain, or they were always argumentative, or I know for me, I don't expect for the for everybody in Orlando or worldwide to come around and be like, oh my gosh, she was such a wonderful person, and like pack the house out. But just the impression for people to be like, I've been there when she was down in the dumps. I've seen the growth that she's went through, things like that. So those are the impressions that some people don't think about leaving amongst other people.
Mm. So
Because yeah,
speaking, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, because yeah, it's easy to be hated on, but in the afterlife, regardless if you're cognitive, if people remember you or not, is that the impression that you want to leave is this angry, bitter person? I know I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%. So I want to go back to business really quick. What would you say to someone who is just starting out with their small business? They are doubting whether they can, get sales. They're doubting whether they can keep up with the administrative side and the accounting and things like that. What would you say to them?
Don't give up. It's stressful. It's hard. I can't tell you how many times in my mind in the past 3 years that I've had this business, I said, forget this, I quit. I don't want to do it anymore. Can't tell you how many times I have cried, like why things aren't going right. Am I not making enough product? Am I not promoting it enough? Like, you're going to get hit with all of these. And I'm telling you, you're going to find yourself so down in the dumps that you're like, forget it. But that's the hard part that you have to go through, because that's where you learn the lessons of being able to overcome. Because as anybody say, within the first 5 years of your business, you really won't see the profits until after that fifth year. So if you've already given up within year 1 or 2 because things had, you might see other people, oh, they stuff is just popping, 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 and I'm barely getting a sale a month. What am I doing wrong? Don't look at necessarily that it's something that you're doing wrong. Some people just have other connections that you don't have or I don't have. There might, we don't know how many years they've actually worked to get to wherever they was within their business. That's the whole thing. That's the one thing about social media. We're so quick to look at other people to be like, well, why am I not there? Why is my business not booming like this? Or why am I not getting sales like this? Or why people are not shouting me out like this? Stop. The only comparison you should make is within yourself, not other people. When you look in the mirror, you're supposed to look in the mirror and you're supposed to say, I'm supposed to be better today than I was yesterday. Not, I'm supposed to be better than this person that's doing the same thing that I'm doing because I feel my product is better or whatever. That's ego. And when ego come into play, everything falls.
Mm-hmm.
Falls.
Definitely. No, that was perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So tell me about your Reiki healing. I know that you recently got your certification. Tell me about that process. What have you learned? What do you plan on doing with that practice?
Um, so I was, before Reiki, I always was a firm believer in energy work. So even before learning Reiki whenever I make products. If I was in a bad mood, had a bad day, I'm not making it because I felt like that was transferring over into my products. So now more so with learning about Reiki now is okay, yes, I'm giving a positive energy when I'm making my products, but now it's that extra healing energy of using Reiki within the products. When I set up my tent, I'm even infusing that Reiki energy under my tent before the market even starts, only because I'm trying to keep that positive energy. There's a lot of negative walks in life, and you're going to get hit with negative energies. You just have to learn how to protect yourself within that. So for me with Reiki, I infuse it into my products. I've even done distance Reiki for a few people also. I've done Reiki on my boyfriend, and they've experienced the changes. But what's funny is Reiki is also that attunement that you have to tap into. Just like if you do oracle readings and things like that, it's still an energy that you have to tap into, because yeah, I could be like, okay, positive energy, but how do I know exactly what energy needs to, or what chakra needs to be healed? You really have to be able to tap into that. Now, I wouldn't say anybody could be a Reiki practitioner, because when you go to say, hey, I want to learn, the teacher already can instinctively read you and know, okay, yes, this is a good candidate, no, it's not a good candidate. Some teachers expect for you to do so many, trial errors before you can go to the next level, things like that. So for me, more so is just learning more about the energy healing, being able to infuse it into my products. And then if I'm having a consultation with someone one-on-one that decides to do a session, being able to tap into that energy to help heal them. So it's it's been challenging, because I'm learning different energies just outside of the Reiki, but spiritually also. So it's been managing both and staying protected within myself. Because once you're open to attacks. So the first thing, no matter if it's Reiki, reading cards, any type of divination, the first thing you should always learn is how to protect yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I learned that the hard way, I think. I work in this, my day job is working with people that are in a very specific demographic, like people who really struggle mentally, and they have different, living situations. Anyways, these particular people, unfortunately, they have not necessarily the control over their emotions as most of us do.
Right.
So when I'm around them, me being the empathic person that I am, I don't even realize it sometimes. I'll leave from being in their presence and I'll be going through these flood of emotions. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? Maybe it was the coffee. Maybe I, maybe I had too much sugar or something. And I'll get home and I'm like, oh, and now I'm smoking cigarettes. And I'm like, wait a second. I don't really protect my energy at all. I don't do any type of preparation, energetic preparation before I meet with my clients. And that is taking a toll. And it's a constant reminder. Every single week, I have to remind myself to bring some Palo Santo, which I do know is just a tool. And it's really just the intention behind it. But it helps so much, So
It
what's
does.
something that you do that you use personally, that you use as a tool to help you protect your energy?
Palo Santo and sage are my favorite go-tos. Outside of that, I am the person with the crystals in the bra, the pockets, anywhere I can store them.
Okay.
So yes, I am one of those. So black obsidian and black tourmaline are always my favorite in regards to blocking negative energy. Um, so yeah, I talk, especially, so let's say if I'm doing an oracle reading. So I light my sage or my Palo Santo, not and I cover me, I cover the cards that I'm reading, as well as I have my particular prayer that I say to my ancestors, and in that asking them to protect me and the energies that may come into play as I'm doing readings. when I'm out at an event and I'm doing, the Reiki healing under the tent, and I have my Palo Santo also under my tent with different my healing herbs that I've actually blended, or incense. That's so that way people that are coming by, that way I'm not picking up that energy. I can keep my positive energy and just, okay, hey, and how you doing? And go with emotions and then let that be. So that way I'm not picking that up coming home argumentative to somebody else, or it does drain you. When you feel like you're exhausted and you're like, hold on, I ain't did nothing physically. That's that spiritual, that mental drain. You get exhausted and you're like, you know what? I didn't even protect myself today. So now you're sleeping all day trying to replenish.
Oh yeah, definitely. The draining, and then I get a lot of anxiety sometimes where I'm like overthinking everything that I'm doing and saying, and it's a slurry of emotions and they're not even mine. So I think that's really interesting. Yeah. I think
But
go
if
ahead.
you stay in if you stay in a practice, because no, I don't have my crystals every day, or no, I might not light the Palo Santo every day. But if you start coming to that practice, or just having that communication with God, your ancestors,
Mhm.
whoever you believe in, just, hey, keep me protected. The same way you bless your food, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. All of that is the intention set behind it, because you're like, protect me, protect my energy, keep the negativity over there, because I ain't trying to have it this way. If you get in that practice, no, you're not going to 100% block all negative energies, but you have a better chance of, okay, I can receive just a little bit of this, but not the whole shebang.
Mhm. Absolutely. All right, I got one more question for you.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give you some time for this one because it is deep.
Uh-oh.
All right. And I feel like I'm asking for too much because you've already given me so much amazing information. I can't wait to start editing. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right. If you could distill your life's journey and wisdom into one piece of advice for your viewers, what would it be?
Put you first. Self-care. Take care of yourself. We get so, especially as women, we get so caught up in playing the role of housewife, mother, business owner, or if you work 9 to 5, we get caught up in trying to make sure everybody else is taken care of, that we forget about ourselves. And it's okay to be selfish in your self-care. Don't let anybody ever make you feel that if you decide to take a day for yourself, even if it was just to hop in the car and run away for a few hours, if that's what helps bring you to yourself and love yourself, then so be it. But we get lost in trying to worry about everybody else, make sure everybody else is happy, and we forget about ourselves. So regardless if you're a business owner, mother, wife, even husbands, because I know we always talk about the women, but men too, because if you've noticed, our men are really suffering with mental health issues that are now starting to come about.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a person, period, just take care of yourself, love yourself, because you can't function properly or be able to be there for other people if you're suffering.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
No, it really was. It was
That's real, because like
perfect.
I've even been lost within making sure everybody else is okay, and then I had to sit back and be like, hold on, y'all ain't think about me. But it's
Mhm.
not for them to think about you. You have to think about yourself, because what you give out, yes, it comes back, but it's not going to come back from those particular people. So if you're doing righteousness, or if you're doing good, to your significant other, and then you turn around, well, hey, why you don't do the same for me? That's another thing. We expect those people to return that same favor, and it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. And it's the perfect timing that you said that because we're after Halloween, we're going right back into the holidays where you're going to feel that, what's that word I'm looking for? You're going to feel like you need to be around your family and around certain people that you don't necessarily resonate with. And that emotion, unfortunately, like it gets hard. It gives a lot of people anxiety. I'm already getting anxiety and it's not even Thanksgiving yet, you know? So, you know, having that reminder to take care of ourselves is something that we just need, you know? And if we don't feel like we can be present around certain people or certain events, then yeah, go take care of ourselves. Go places that
Right.
we do love to be around, you know?
But also too, you also want to learn to have yourself in those situations.
Another opportunity, right?
Not necessarily another opportunity, but it's a factor of testing yourself and your growth.
Hmm.
Where in the past, I've never hanging around this person. I don't even want to be in the same building with this person. To, oh hey, it's not even about being fake and funny, but it's you've come to that point to be like, hey, how you doing? And keep on going because you may have came for other family members, but guess what? You have to put that wall, that invisible wall. I don't see this person. I don't know this person. Who is this person? But then it becomes the point that when you put that block up,
Hmm.
you really don't see that person because you didn't come there for them. You came for everybody else. So that's another thing too that people need to learn is yes, we all say, oh, like, was it on Facebook when they have those meetings when you're invited to a party and they're like, well, who's there? Stop asking who's there. If you have to ask who's there, just say, no, I'm not coming. Because at the end of the day, no matter if it's that party or another situation, you're going to end up running into someone you just don't want to be around. But you just have to learn to be in that setting and just block them totally out because you did not come there for them. That is not your energy. That is not your problem. Let that miserable person stay over there. I'm happy over here.
Hmm. Thank you for that.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I definitely I needed to hear that because I didn't realize that that question or you know what you just stated was for me, and this is why I love having conversations like this. Literally, my favorite thing to do because how I get my downloads, how I get my messages from spirit are through communicating with other people, and it's almost like what was I going to say? It's almost like their responses are always in line with something that I'm currently struggling with. Now, technically, I cheated because I asked you that question, but still, like, you know, it's very helpful. Thank you so much for that. It's definitely going to give me something to consider. So, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Goddess Glo 1111, or I'm sorry, 11.11, as well as on Facebook, Goddess Glo 11.11. My website is www.goddessglo1111.com. For the most part, if you are here in Orlando, I'm at the Moon Mercado Markets, the full moon and new moon. So, yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're
So, everyone,
welcome.
thank you. I never give anyone time to say you're welcome. I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. So everyone who's watching this, go ahead and like and subscribe if you liked anything that you heard. I'm going to do some more videos, some more interviews with some like-minded individuals and have some more mindful conversations. And again, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you for having me.